guardians, the infallible guardians are gone, there has to be universal laws of guardianship elected by people to be on the side of universal laws of justice. They don't accept it anyways. But you have to have a full picture. If you don't have full pictures, you go wrong. This creates a serious situation. This is why neither the Mu'tazilite nor the Sufis had a good picture of what's going on. A lot of things they say that's just amounts to baloney. It is right now among the Baha'is. People, they talk about mysticism, which in Persian they use irfan, which means divine understanding. And understanding and knowledge pertains to divinity and God. It's called irfan. They say that many prominent Baha'is, I don't want to mention their names, I had to write an essay to one of them telling her that do not say which book of Baha'u'llah is irfani or mystic and which book is not, or categorizing it as such, that there are certain people on the planet that they could be called Arif or Sufi and this book is written for them. It's not like that. It's totally a serious mistake to think that way. Baha'i faith or Islam or any revelation of God, it deals with human being and his needs. That is the truth presented. The meaning of the truth is this. Whatever man is, his requirement, his wishes, whatever it makes him to go, it's a response to the requirement and the legitimate need of man. That's the truth. Baha'i faith deals with that. And all of it is mystical, all of it is real, all of it is true. None of it is comparable to other one. The day when Baha'u'llah talks about the simple stories about marriage, prayer, fasting, anything. A sexual relationship with your wife is no difference from your relationship to God when you're praying. If they're done both right, they are both as equal important. None of them is a replacement of the other one. There is an order of priority in the Baha'i faith. But all of it is one thing. Like you can't say in my body, my hair is more important than my hand or which one. No. I have to be all of it as one unit. And it is mystical. So one of them, this dear lady was saying that, oh, let's find out the mystical point in the Kitab-i-Iran. And she was totally going haywire. And I saw, it's just because these Baha'i scholars, they go read and learn the knowledge from non-Baha'i sources, which is physics, chemistry, sociology, psychology, and then they think they are a learned Baha'i. By the virtue that I got a degree from a system of a university of somewhere that Baha'i faith totally repudiated, wants to change the whole system of it. But they bring that and they think that, okay, I'm Dr. this from McGill University and I have a PhD in psychiatry, and Mr. Temori, you are this and that. And when you look at what he says to me, a child laughs. I have to explain to him, my dear friend, you are no doubt a scientist in your department, but those things that you have does not make you a knowledgeable Baha'i. You have to go study Baha'i faith. It's a university of its own. It's in fact way, way, way huger than man can even digest it even right now to what it is, okay? So it's big enough that one can spend the entire life in it to understand only maybe a couple of points, okay? I told him that I have done 40 years in this religion, day and night. Even in toilet, I'm thinking. Everywhere I think. I'm a thinking machine. I cannot stop thinking. I discover things at any minute, anywhere. Because I'm thinking about it. I'm sure Bill Gates was the same way when he was going to create the Microsoft. Or Albert Einstein was the same thing when he was trying to do physics. So, but to come back and say, I'm the Einstein in the physics, therefore Baha'i faith says this, becomes irrelevant, doesn't it? You cannot, this is the mistakes right now is happening. So, anyways, there is no proper picture of the Islam And one picture is scientific of the time, who goes by the intellect and logic and reason, Mu'tazilite, preferred by the Sunni Muslims. And the Shiites were mostly Iranians, and they want to talk about heart and about the feeling. To them, it's not important how are you going to prove the existence of God. To them, this discussion is stupid. God is more clear than anything else. The question for them is that how to reach to God, not whether God exists or not. In fact, in the writing of Shams Tabrizi, one guy comes to him and he says that, "Oh, sir, I finally found out the existence of God." Shams tells him, "Wow, I was thinking that you're coming to tell me that you had received messages from God. But that's all you have found out, that God exists?" Such a cliche. This is, the classic discussions that they had. So at this time, God says, "Okay, it seems that both Arabs and Iranians, they are not coming together. Arabs are wrong. Iranians conveniently disagreed with them. As a matter of disagreement, they found the truth, but they never went to understand what the truth is. And they are Shiites, but they're not believing in 12 successors. Most of them are Ishmaelites, and they believe only 6 Imam. A type of Shiites of the 6 Imamates. So again, it's incorrect. And Sunnis are incorrect. And neither of the parties of Mu'tazilites and the Sufis are able to guide Muslims. God says, okay, now the second phase of my correction coming in. The first time he sent Abu Muslim of Khurasan, who got rid of Muawiyah and Yazid and Umayyad, got rid of them, and he changed the entire dynasty. Arabs were in Iran about 40-50 years, that's all. Iranian took over. But they were true Muslims, and they thought the blood of this Umayyad is wrong. We're going to have to go to the uncle of Muhammad, who had the blood of Muhammad, whose name was Abbas, my name, uncle of Muhammad. So they create Abbasid. The first order of the Caliph that Abu Muslim put him on his throne, Mansur, was to kill Abu Muslim. He said, "This man is dangerous, tomorrow is going to disagree with us too." And Abu Muslim was killed actually by the first Caliph of the Abbasid that he himself brought into the power. Then Iranian, they thought it's not going to work. Arab is not good altogether. We'll have to get out. And that's why Iran was separated and gradually became its own country. Now, I'd said about 400 years Mu'tazilite was in, and now the Sufis are in too for a few hundred years, but they have no answer. And nobody is there to say what the picture is. There's two attempts happens. A third philosophy is called the philosophy of Ishraq. Properly, if you want to translate it, it will be the philosophy of illuminations. Maybe the Illuminatis that they're saying is them in Islam. Shahabuddin Sohrawardi comes in, he tries to explain the situations between the Sunnis, Muslims, even the ancient Iranians, trying to create some, but he says everything is light. According to him, God is the light of the heaven and earth. That is how it is revealed in Quran. This poor soul, he thought that everything, physical, anything, it's all light, which is not true. Anything Quran says that it is light, God is the light of the heaven and earth. He doesn't mean God is actually sun that is creating this day, or the light that comes from the lamp. No, nothing physical. This light is a spiritual light. It's not a physical light. But Shahabuddin thought everything is light. And he brought a lot of verses, which is true, except that he saw it physical. The famous Salahuddin Ayyubi, who was fighting at the time with the Europeans, they were trying to take Jerusalem, and he ordered to kill this guy. The man was, I think, 38 years old. He was killed, from what was saying. This was the end of the solution for a person to create a solution between. It didn't work. But there was another thing happened at that time. You have heard of Rumi. Rumi was big. Rumi met this Shams Tabrizi, which I brought this story to you before. I'm going to quickly tell you that. The father of Rumi had a vision. These things are not written in a book. I have a different source to know it. He had a vision that he had to take the child away from Afghanistan at those days, Balkh city. Go back to east, he says. Go back to west. He comes to Iran. At that time, he stayed at Neyshabur. He saw Attar, and he just passed. The vision was telling him, go, 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 go. Finally, he left Iran, the present Iran, and came to present Turkey, somewhere in Konya, around the present Ankara, about 4 or 5 hours south. He stayed there, and the vision was cut off. Rumi never knew why his father brought him here, from Afghanistan, among these Turkish people. But there's some reason. The reason was there. It didn't take too long before Mongol horde attacked Iran. They killed everything, even cats, dogs, anything that was living was killed. That was the order of Genghis Khan. This was the reason that God said, take the baby away. Now, of course, at this point, Mongol horde never went there at that time. So I guess he found out, oh, that is the reason why I came here. But what am I supposed to do? One day it is written he was in the market. He saw an old man trying to buy something as a stick with a little lunch on the top of the stick. But he's having a very profound discussion about the Prophet of God and Bayazid, which was one of his great mystics. Bayazid, they say that at the time of prayer, he was saying that, worship me. There is no greater than me. But Muhammad says, I am but a servant of God. This old man was asking this question to another Muslim. And the Muslim was, perplexed what to say. Muhammad, the Prophet of God, says, I'm just a servant. And Bayazid, who is supposed to be a follower of Muhammad, he says, I am God. Rumi just looked back and he says, who is this? And he saw an old man. He said, can you come today? I'm inviting you to my house for some food. He goes there and he saw this Shams knows too much, a lot. He thought he is the promised one. He thought Shams is the promised one. What we Baha'is they know as Bab, the Mahdi. That is what Maulavi thought. Shams told him, I'm not him. But I have come just for you. If you can realize what the true picture is and write it down, Islam will continue to exist. Because there's a tradition. Muhammad says Islam will take 1,000 years or one day if they are okay and good, Muslims. If not, and they're corrupt, it'll take half a day. And half a day was passed, and Mongol horde attacked Iran, right about around 500 years passed from Islam. And there you go. Prophecies were coming true. So, at that time, Ishmaelites, which are a part of the Shiites, 6 Imam, Hassan al-Sabbah was saying that he was their leader. Hassan al-Sabbah was saying that I am, the promised one of God. He also was saying that, trying to gather Iranian to fight, with the system and the regime. But Mongols, they came and get rid of all of them. So the second time God fixed the Muslim, gave him a hand. He says, since you don't know what to do between Shiite and Sunnis, and these Sufis and Mu'tazilite, you don't know what to do, and I see your solutions are in the form of Hassan Sabbah or Sohrawardi of the illuminations. All of that is no good. So Mongol comes, destroyed basically Iran and got rid of the Abbasid. For the second time, the second Arab regime was gone. First was Umayyad by the Iranian, the second one Abbasid by the Mongol horde. After that, a new system came in Iran for the first time based on a true figure of Islam, which is Muhammad and 12 Imam. It started, from the brilliant of Safiuddin Ardebili, followed by his children, and they brought the Safavite, they brought the Shiites of 12 Imam in Iran for the first time. Now we know what the Mongol horde were there to do. They juggled the system so the truth can be found. You see? So, enough said. Let's look at some of these notes of mine here. I don't need to look at these notes, really, it's all in my head. So let me talk about what the Sufis have done, because now it's concerning these writings, the 7 valleys, which is called in Islam 7 cities of love, or 4 cities of love. Baha'u'llah appropriately changed the 7 cities into 7 valleys, so people not mistaking this ideology with that one. But many attempts, many theories, many ways, many procedures, many doctrine was created to show how man is related to God and how he has to get to that source of that power. None of them are right. They created, because God is intangible, love and God and this and that, who knows who, but somebody thought, okay, what is that man likes the most? Okay, a man, gender, a male. What does he like? A beautiful woman. What is the next? Wine. What is the next? A beautiful woman that gives you the wine. Where? In the tavern. They create a plot, using this physical plot to explain the spiritual plot. So God and the truth is resembled, I use the simile, as a beautiful woman, beautiful hair, beautiful eye, only from head to the up, not in the bottom. They created cheeks, tooth, God knows, nose, everything. The creation of God is this beautiful woman. And the wine. Wine means what? The one that intoxicates you. Baha'u'llah uses sometimes. He says in the Book of Certitude, the wine of certitude. Because when you understand it, you say Eureka. You see, you become intoxicated. So the spiritual intoxication, they use the word may for it. May or wine, sharab, meaning what the Prophet says, what the truth is in this writing. You see, who's presenting it is called Sagi, the one who's giving you. In the presentation is the sagar, which is the cup, which means in this case the book, or that session of the presentations. Meikade, which means tavern, in this case is where the spiritual being are together and they have a leader, a beautiful one, who speaks. So the whole plot of the physical woman and the wine and the tavern and all of that was created to explain the truth. In other cases, you've seen that as a matter of defiance with hypocrisy and whatnot. The very old Muslim believer says, yeah, I saw all hypocrisy in the mosque, but I didn't see it when I went to church. I didn't see it when I went to Magi's, which is the Zoroastrians. So this was their plot that they created that. So may or sharab means actual word of God, word of the truth. Sagi is the person who gives it to you. In this case is a leader, a learned one. Sagar is his book or that presentations. And Meikade, tavern, is where these things is done. And goes on and on. Baha'u'llah said that, okay, as I said, for the sake of the Muslims believers, sometimes Baha'u'llah refers to wine or even sagi or sagar, very rarely. But in this Mathnavi, Baha'u'llah creates a new plot. He says the spiritual world of God and all of it has an exact counterpart in the nature. That's the Baha'i principles that I've told you, one of the prime directive. Abdul-Baha says for every physical there is a spiritual too. If you have a cup, the spirit of the cup is the thought of the maker that has made that cup. The spirit of a phone is the maker, the ideology behind it, that is the non-physical phone, mixed with the matter to create the phone. So the nature of God became the plot of Baha'u'llah. Baha'u'llah uses the nature, not so much sagi and this and that. For example, he used the word mountain to say that the soul is like a mount. behind the mount is what? Is the sun when it comes up. So the sun of the truth, he says, is behind, within man. But it has to rise over the mountain of who we are. Or Khorshid, which means the sun. We've seen that. He uses the moon to explain the beauty. He uses nightingales. He uses even sometimes thorn. He uses even hunting. He uses a falcon. You know, that this Arab, they had falcon sitting under. Baha'u'llah says in the poetry, you know, the flight of the falcon. All of that he uses to explain the beauty. He uses the word nasim, which means the breeze. He says the tulip, the flower, tulip of oneness. You know, different. I haven't heard before. But Baha'u'llah does all of that in this Mathnavi. So the plot of it is the nature and what are the natural phenomena to explain the spiritual entity. This Mathnavi is very strange in the sense that I have read a lot of poetry, and it's very rarely that you can see poems to have 2-3 rhymes in one line. Hemistich, they call it, I think, half a line. A poem in Persian is a one line, is composed of 2 sections, hemistich. So, I'll just give you one example. That how Baha'u'llah brings 2 or 3, although I'll discuss it later, but just for now. He says, on بهاران را فنا باشد عقب و این بهاران را بقا باشد لقب. See, laqab and aqab is clearly similar, so they all rhyme. But he uses, previous to this word, he used the word fana and baqa. So the first hemistich has the word fana and baqa matching with the other one of aqab and laqab. But it goes further, he puts 3 rhymes in one line. That is miracle. No, hasn't happened before. He says, آن بهاران لاله ها آورد برون وین بهاران ناله ها دارد کنون. Now, کنون and برون. لاله ها, ناله ها. آرد, دارد. 3 words of the first hemistich is matching the other sides. That's miracle. Hafiz hasn't done that. أفصح المتكلمين, the most eloquent of all, is called Sa'di, hasn't done that. But Baha'u'llah has done that. But at the same time, when he suits him, he does that. Just trying to show to them that, sure, since there have been thousands and thousands of books of poetry, maybe somebody was asking Baha'u'llah, can you reveal something to that level? Baha'u'llah had few poetries here and there, but he would not follow the rhyme and the system of the Persian poetry. You could, categorize as the modern poetry. Purposely Baha'u'llah says that because he doesn't want to follow the system of the people. The system of the people is attached to a culture, that in order to get rid of that culture, you have to get rid of the whole format. And this is why Baha'is, they don't say hello or salam. They say Allahu Akbar, because to salam, many things is attached. So it's a debris with it. So the whole thing has to be thrown away, to be changing to the new word, to change the culture. So this Mathnavi is to the rhyme, if you want to measure it, before they were measuring this hemistich to that one to be exactly equal in terms of vowels and the consonant. So the Mathnavi is, they say, to the measurement of fa'ilatun, fa'ilatun, fa'ilat. That means all this Mathnavi would resemble this sound, fa'ilatun, fa'ilatun, fa'ilat. But all of a sudden, some of the line goes fa'ilatun, fa'ilatun, fa'ilun. It's the fa'ilat, it's fa'ilun. And this is 2 different, should not supposedly be mixed. But Baha'u'llah mixes it. Another person who has done that many times is the Rumi himself. He mixes things because God cannot follow the system of the people. This simply to tell to people that I know how to do exactly the way you do, but I'm not your follower. The biggest thing that it is the content of this Mathnavi. What it contains is amazing. I possibly cannot in this point right now to tell you what they are, but the entire system and understanding and the concept, what God is, what man is, what's thinking, relationship of thinking and feeling, and what's love, all of that are just totally convoluted by the Muslims, which I try to understand it. In this 318 line, Baha'u'llah very, very vividly, simply, beautifully explains it. It is the greatest work of Baha'u'llah. I shouldn't say that because all of the work are great. Great to in relation to me. I connect myself very much to this poetry of Baha'u'llah. It's the philosophy and everything is written in this poetry. I think, first time when I became Baha'i, I heard of the Baha'i faith that it is Baha'u'llah and the Babs are, in fact, the one prophesied by the Islam. But my friend Tawheed introduced me to this poetry of Baha'u'llah. It was an immediate connection. After more than 2 weeks after that, I wrote a Mathnavi of my own. By reading this Mathnavi so many times, I was inculcated by it. You know, when you do something too many times and then somehow you get in tune, almost like a language, like a music that comes into you. Me, that I could not write poetry very good, I actually in a matter of 2 or 3 days, 2 days I think, I wrote a Mathnavi of my own, the first one. I was only 18 years old. And later on continued to write 9 of them. So, I think at this point, to give you a background, where this mysticism comes and how they're coming and what's the bottom line of them, I give you a little bit of introductions as what happened and where is this Mathnavi related to, who's addressing the whole world. This Mathnavi is the one, I call it the eternal work of Baha'u'llah. I believe forever and ever and ever and ever. It will never, people get tired of reading it and understanding and discussing it. It's an open subject forever. Baha'u'llah be with you. Till the next time.